We are back with the Screen Team. It's our final segment of this full-hour edition of the show, being joined again by the lovely Sabrina J. Sabrina, we're going to review a film which is called Two Bits. This was a movie that I had experienced watching with my parents back in the day, 1995-ish or so, and saw it on DVD. And it's a story about a young boy set in the I think it was during the Depression, wasn't it?
Yes.
So kind of like late 1930s, somewhere in there?
You're the historian.
I was looking for a little help there. I guess I'm not getting it. Anyway, it's about this boy set during the Depression in Philadelphia, and he's got one thing on his mind this particular day, and it's to go to see a movie. You and I love movies, and I think that's why I can relate to this film, is because this kid, he just wants to see this movie so bad.
He needs 25 cents.
He needs 25 cents.
In a time when people did not have 25 cents to blow on a movie.
Yeah. They opened this brand new theater. It was summer Philadelphia, so it's, very hot outside.
And I want to explain something here, too, for younger viewers who maybe haven't gotten to this part of their history lessons. In the Depression, people scrounged for food. No jobs were available.
Yeah.
I mean, Depression is exactly what people were going through because they had no means to provide. And the government basically had to supplement the food for the table that people sat at. And so if you had a business, people stole from you on a regular basis. They begged from you on a regular basis. Husbands left moms with children because they couldn't feed them and couldn't see their eyes being so hungry.
Right.
There was a lot to it. People, committed suicide. I mean, they didn't know what to do to fix things. And so when we say that it was so bad, why in the world would a movie theater open up? But one thing that drove people was hope. And the one thing that would give people the most hope was a break from reality. And we're no different. Sitting in front of a TV to watch a movie is something that not everybody in the entire world has the privilege of getting to do. It is a privilege. It's not just a time killer. But back then, saving up enough money to splurge on a movie was a huge thing. And this little boy, 12, is he 12, something like that?
Yeah, I would say so. Just kind of crossing into the
the threshold. Still kind of clueless, but didn't really care about the stuff you didn't know about.
Right.
So this boy, I'll just I'll see what I got to do to get enough money to go to this movie. Don't care what else happens in my life. Doesn't care what happens tomorrow. He has a great mom, and his dad is gone. His dad had died. Mm-hmm. So he lives with his mom, and her dad, his grandpa, lives with them as well. And so there's the 3 generations of them in this house. But this kid comes and goes constantly of his own free will, because that's what you did. You didn't stay around the house. Somebody asked you to do something.
That's true. For someone who's not a historian, you did very well on the whole Depression thing, man. You had mentioned the boy. You had mentioned his mom and his grandpa. His grandpa was played by Al Pacino, who reminded me a lot of myself, man. Just focused on life and death.
Don't tell me what to do, woman. I just want a coffee and this chair out in the backyard so I can see the sky.
Yeah, but he was also, death was a major topic for him. Like, he knew that, the end was coming for him very, very quickly.
And his grandson, he would talk openly about death. When I die, you can have a quarter.
Yeah.
And so his grandson would say, well, why don't you just give it to me now so I can go to the movies and tell you what it was about when I get back? Right. Which is so practical and so pure. At the same time, he was just like, he didn't really care if his grandpa died because he didn't really grasp that when his grandpa died, he'd be gone.
Right.
To him, it was just a conversation that they always had. Yeah. I almost did it today. Meaning he almost died today. And his grandson heard that almost every single day to the point where it was numbing. He didn't really believe that his grandpa was going to die. Just something for them to talk about.
There was a lot of grown-up stuff in this film. Obviously, the whole life and death subject, but also discovering a lot of
deep, dark secrets about people.
Yeah. I mean,
dark things.
This kid had a day, I tell you what. I mean, this movie is set in a day period. He's got his grandpa on the verge of dying. It's depression. No one's got any money. And he's going into other situations that a 12-year-old shouldn't have to go, shouldn't have to go through.
Sexually inappropriate situations that he comes in contact with. And to me, that's just sort of my way of saying beware of who's in the room when you're watching this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nothing where you actually see. It's just the conversation, the suggestion of things is very dark and very prevalent in certain scenes of this movie.
It's true, and I'd forgotten a lot of that. I thought it was just, the kid trying to find a quarter, and you and I were watching it, and I think Luke was in the room. We're like, oh, let's pause it for a second.
We really did have to pause it and be like, Luke, what do you got there? What's on the tablet? And just redirect him because something was being suggested, or there was a situation that played out on the screen so quickly and unexpectedly that, I don't really want him seeing that.
Yeah. One of the situations was at the very end where the grandpa is trying to convince his grandson to go and apologize to a former lover.
From back in his very youthful days before he ever married the kid's grandma.
He basically, did her wrong kind of thing, and he wanted his grandson to apologize
on his behalf.
On his behalf.
Because his grandpa was very ill. Very, very ill. More ill than the rest of the family knew, and the doctor was there going, but in his condition. And they're like, what condition? He's just tired.
They never really said that.
Right.
Or never went in more detail
right,
about
you just got that, but you're like, oh, no wonder he's pasty. Oh, okay, he really is sick.
Yeah.
And so sick that he can't get up and walk down the street to this person's house to apologize himself. He sends his grandson to do it, and if he does, he'll give him the rest of the money he needs. Because the kid has already managed to accumulate 15 cents by the time we get to the scene.
Yeah.
He needs another dime.
I love this film because of the time period it was set in. I always love that part of history, I love it because of the fascination and love of movies. I've always felt that way ever since I was little. Going to the theater was always a special treat for us. So, and it was always a magical thing too. I really can't explain it, but I think the movie tries to explain it, for me.
It expresses a fascination for escape.
Yeah.
That the heart and the soul of a movie lover needs.
This movie also deals with, life and death, and it also deals with a time period, like I said, that I wish was still around, as far as the fact that, you could let your kids go out and run around the neighborhood.
And yet, how much trouble did he get into?
That's true. That's true, but you weren't worried.
It was part. It was part of life, and kids learned by leaving the house and coming back at the end of the day and telling you what they discovered, and the discoveries were not always good ones.
That's true.
And other times, you got to see a funeral procession and a wedding procession meet at a church at the same time because they got double booked.
Yeah.
And a bunch of Italians. Oh my gosh! In front of us. And these two kids sitting up on the side of a building, just sitting there watching it and laughing and going, this was better than any kind of entertainment they could come up with at that time. It was just watching people on the street.
So we know how I feel about it. What did you feel about it?
I thought it was an amazingly beautiful movie. I had no idea that it existed, but man, am I sure glad you brought it in for us to see. It really was a beautiful movie.
Thank you. You should listen to me more often, man. I'm done. I know what I'm about.
I'm done listening.
All right.
What's next?
Next is we're done with the show.
Oh, okay.
Next week, we're going to have Maisha in the studio. We're going to be reviewing movies like Pride, also Selena, which is about the Jennifer Lopez film that's about the Mexican singer Selena, and Girl Interrupted. Did you ever see that one?
Oh, yeah. Great movie.
Yeah. That's coming away next Saturday. For Sabrina and Chris, we are the Screen Team right here on KWOC.